What was meant to be a triumphant and uplifting conclusion to the 2023 Invictus Games in Nigeria's capital city instead devolved into shocking scenes of chaos and humiliation for Prince Harry. The Duke of Sussex found himself booed, heckled, and ultimately chased off the stage by a raucous contingent of enraged military veterans after attempting to deliver his closing ceremony remarks on Thursday night. The ugly incident unfolded just minutes after Harry took the microphone on the heels of a seemingly innocuous opening speech delivered by Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, officially bringing the international parasports competition to an end. Almost immediately, vehement boos and jeers could be heard erupting from a vocal section of military veterans seated front and center before the massive stage erected in Abuja's Mashood Abiola National Stadium. "You don't speak for real soldiers, you damn coward. Get out of our country." The shocking outbursts of negativity only intensified as the Duke of Sussex made his first attempts to acknowledge and honor the Invictus Games athletes and participating military personnel in attendance. Multiple witnesses say Harry struggled valiantly against the escalating waves of vitriol at first, flashing looks of clear bewilderment and even holding up his hand in a pleading attempt to regain control before security began advancing toward the agitated crowd sections. "I'm afraid there's been some sort of misunderstanding," a visibly confused Prince Harry addressed the riotous contingent, prompting even louder boos cascading from all corners of Nigeria's national stadium at the mere sound of his voice. "We're here tonight in the spirit of unity and respect for our brave soldiers' sacrifices and recovery." But the surging tide of anger and profane chants only intensified further at his words, as veterans began rising from their seats and shaking fists toward the beleaguered British royal still grasping the microphone. Within moments, missiles in the form of plastic water bottles, shoes, and even discarded military caps began arching through the air in his direction. "You call us comrades while dishonoring our regiment with your lies and disrespect, you insolent ginger coward. You speak of sacrifice but couldn't even maintain your oath as an officer. Shame on you. Get out of our country." While the cause of such outrage and seeming hatred toward the Duke remains somewhat murky, multiple sources indicate it likely stemmed from a combination of long-simmering grievances against both Prince Harry and the British royal establishment itself, held by contingents of Nigeria's former military forces and pro-democracy independence movements. Indeed, throughout the raucous catcalling during his remarks, repeated callouts to the prince's own brief military service history could be clearly heard, including accusations that he dishonored his commission by abandoning his troops and disparaging references to his Anglo heritage overseeing the former colonial empire. "What gall you got showing your twisted face here in Nigeria, disgracing the meaning of this uniform after abandoning your own duty," shouted one particularly enraged British Army veteran who confirmed serving in Afghanistan simultaneously as Harry during his embedded tour as a frontline air cavalry officer in Helmand province. "This coward quit on his entire regiment, dishonoring our mission while dancing with celebs and Americanizing himself for millions instead of remaining by our side after surviving combat. Now he wants to lecture real soldiers on the meaning of sacrifice and resiliency." Multiple eyewitnesses say the embattled Harry attempted weathering the chaotic storm for nearly 10 minutes, all while stadium security frantically formed a protective barricade around the stage in fear of escalating physical confrontations breaking out. At one particularly stunning moment caught on video, a shower of discarded crutches and personal medical supplies rained down in front of the Duke as his voice faltered and he instinctively cowered behind the bulletproof teleprompter. "Those are for disabled veterans, not spoiled mummies, boys safe behind palace walls," bellowed another aggrieved former soldier, hurling what appeared to be a tarnished beret and set of military dog tags in Harry's direction. "Have some self-respect." Others took issue not just with the Duke's record of military service ending amid controversy, but also his more recent affiliation with corporate streaming outlets like Netflix. Multiple outraged troops and supporters directed profanities at the prince over allegations he'd profited glorifying warfare and peddling invasive royal confessionals, tarnishing the British military's reputation. "You leave the battlefield with $1 billion Netflix deal making movies slamming the troops, you piece of," began one furious heckler before being bleeped and cut short for profanities unsuitable for broadcast on the live telecast being beamed around the world. For Prince Harry's part, the Duke desperately attempted regaining his composure several times to appeal for reason over the rapidly deteriorating security situation. According to royal insiders, Harry even resorted to invoking personal memories of having his own life saved numerous times by Nigerian soldiers while under Al-Shabaab militant fire during his 2007 tour in the Helmand Desert. But any impassioned entreaties for valor and empathy were completely inaudible and drowned out by thunderous jeering, with enraged sections of the crowd now beginning to surge against the protective barricades in anger. Finally, after repeated failed attempts to restore any semblance of order and safety, Prince Harry had no choice but to be pulled from the stage entirely by a phalanx of close protection officers from Britain's elite SAS regiment. According to reporters on the ground, the beleaguered Duke appeared to be shouting something toward the incensed crowd about everyone deserving safety and peace, but his final words went unheard as the wall of deafening boos and debris bombardment rendered his microphone completely unintelligible. He just kept trying in vain to connect over all that hate and noise, repeating something about recognizing our shared spirits and honoring these games, but it was pointless, recounted one UK tabloid photographer on scene who managed to capture the entire scene from mere feet in front of the stage. Looking back at my pictures now, you can literally see the moment Harry's face just broke after realizing no one was going to let him speak anymore. The shocking images indeed speak volumes, capturing the precise instant Prince Harry completely breaks character from his normally measured public persona. In one particularly striking sequence, the Duke's eyes are seen glistening with what appears to be welling tears, his mouth agape and both hands frozen in a state of utter deflation and hopelessness. Within seconds, his entire body finally slumps in resignation before being urgently shuffled off stage and out of the stadium entirely surrounded by grim-faced security personnel. It was like watching a severely wounded soldier forcibly dragged to safety against his wishes by comrades while civilians throw rocks and worse, added the photographer, his voice strained from describing the visceral experience. Except in this case, those supposed civilians were the soldiers themselves, and their victim was the prince they just rejected as one of their own. In the aftermath of such a disgraceful public spectacle, stern denunciations from Nigerian government and military officials were swift and furious over the completely unprovoked belligerence toward their guests of honor. Not only did President Bola Tinubu denounce the few mindless hooligans as an embarrassment upon our entire nation's integrity, the Ministry of Defense, MOD, has already vowed to convene an emergency commission of inquiry identifying the lead operatives behind coordinating what they termed an assault on Nigeria's international reputation. Make no mistake, this orchestrated insurrection went far beyond mere jeering and vulgarity from soccer hooligans. It amounted to a full-fledged attack on our sovereign dignity during a ceremony honoring the very finest of our veterans and disabled troops, fumed Major General Chris Olukolade, Inspector General of the MOD's Public Complaints Commission overseeing the initial response. Have these agitators never heard of due decorum, or forget our entire democratic renaissance was built upon the sacrifices of brave servicemen like Prince Harry exhibiting true bravery under enemy fire in combat? The visibly indignant Army General added during an impromptu press conference outside the Invictus Games venue just hours after the Duke of Sussex's humiliating exit. In regards to these contemptible ringleaders responsible for instigating such chaos and disgracing us before the international community, I vow each and every last provocateur will be rapidly apprehended to face the severest judicial punishments for the high crimes of sedition and treason against the Nigerian people. But even as Nigerian security forces work around the clock scrutinizing surveillance footage and intelligence inputs for rounding up potential perpetrators, many analysts remain skeptical any form of legal prosecution will do much.